Peace. Welcome to another episode of Spears and Mics. I'm your host, Y Slice. We got Zulu King Just P in the building, and we got a returning special guest, the brother Pluto 7 from TBB, the Bronx Boys, Rockin' Crew. What's going on, fellas?
What's good, everybody? How y'all doing, man?
Man, we good. We good.
That's
We
what's up.
good,
That's
man.
what's up.
In the best of health, man. Trying to be in the best of health and
That's
spirits.
that's what it's about, man.
You know? Yeah, man, we had a excellent episode with you for episode 4, man. Like the brother Pluto, he's a well of knowledge, in regards to the culture of hip hop and especially breaking and rocking. Now, but before we pick up where we left off,
All right.
I want to ask you, Lord Jamar
Mm-hmm.
from Brand Nubian, he's been on a tear about breakdancing. Now this brother, not he's a legend. You know what I'm saying? I think Brand Nubian is a legendary rap group. He's a part of that. He's dope lyricist, producer. He has artists himself. I think Stove God Cooks is one of his artists, was one
Hmm.
of his artists. He
Um,
was
uh, he's
formerly
also
Aaron
he's
Cooks.
also he's also a member of Native Tongues.
Right, right. And a big member of the 5% Nation of Gods and Earths,
Yeah.
but he's been on a tear lately about breakdancing. He feels breakdancing doesn't need to be included in the elements of hip hop. How do you feel about that?
It not only does it show his ignorance, but it shows that he really doesn't know hip hop culture because what started hip hop culture was breaking before any of the elements, and some people could argue and say, well, what about writing graffiti? um my perspective of that was when people ask me about where does graffiti fit in, I say that um it all depends on when you came into the culture. So if you came into the culture around the late 60s or the early 70s or whatever, whatnot, you could say that it was a part of it if you went to the park jams and you were a writer and then you later became a b-boy or you became a DJ or you later became an MC or whatever, whatnot. So you could say there's a connection. And then there's some guys who are just straight writers and they don't see that. There's dudes that was listening to Led Zeppelin, Thin Lizzy, and then funk and soul, and that's all they did. So they connected. But um but as far as the whole narrative afterwards, 80 late 70s 80s, people connected with that because they came in later. But as far as like with Jamar, is the interesting thing, of what I'm saying is like the culture started with breaking,
Right.
like Kool Herc played for the B-Boys. Kool Herc's draw to get everybody else was using the B-Boys. I remember going to clubs for years. You know, we all we had to do is go to a club once. There's a place on Tuesdays, in Manhattan, called Spa. You had Jay-Z there. You had professional skateboarders, actors and actresses. I remember we went there once, and then when they gave us a little problem, to get in, because the way we were dressed or whatever, whatnot. But they let us in. After we tore that up, every week they would give us at least 15 passes. When
Mm.
when Mike Tyson lost to what's his name,
Buster
the brother
Douglas
no, the
was a
brother
Buster.
from England, what's his name, um
Oh, Lennox Lewis.
Yes, Lennox Lewis. That weekend on that Tuesday, we were in line. We were on the line where the celebrities were, and everybody was in front of me. My one boy was behind me, and I'm like, "Who's my boy talking to?" I turn around, he's talking to Lennox Lewis.
Wow.
That's the power of what we had when we were in clubs, and people appreciated that. So it was a draw. So the same thing with Kool Herc. This draw were the B-boys, and people used to come, and that's what they would talk about. There's gonna be some documentaries that really talk about that from the people who were there from that era to expound on that by by a brother named Dancing Doug, who is one of the Herc B boys who danced back then. He's back into the culture. But for Jamar to to say that just shows is just you just really don't know the origins of this culture. You're so fixated with rap and the whole nine, you miss all of that. Sneaker
Right.
culture comes from b boys. Dress comes from b boys. We were responsible for a lot of that stuff or whatever, whatnot. That ushered in, to look fly or rock some dope kicks or just be a sneakerhead. That comes from that. So Jamar, to say that, it's like, bro, you really don't know this culture, man. You just really don't know. And
Why
we
why
got
do
the
you feel why do you feel he's like trying to omit like he's trying to like usher omission of breakdancing? Like
um.
what's the end game with it?
I,
Or like because he
I
said he said it's out
it's
he said it's
relevance.
outdated. He said it's outdated.
Well, you know what? If that's out, if that's outdated, then you're outdated because you don't know what's going on right now as we speak. There was a battle a few hours ago. There'll be a battle tomorrow. There'll be a
I
battle
just saw
after that.
somebody post a battle. I just saw somebody post a
All over
battle.
the
Yeah.
world. So
Right.
it's a global thing. So he's very much outdated on hip hop culture. And then for him to say that and you perform at Rocksteady Anniversary, that's ironic.
Right.
You
Yeah,
performed
that's
at
kind of crazy.
Rocksteady
That's crazy.
Anniversary. I
That's
was in the
crazy.
when he was at the Manhattan Center when everybody was leaving. I was in the hotel. I mean, I was in the elevator with him. He was with Homeboy from Oz when he was doing Oz.
Oh
And
wow.
we just had small talk. So it's like, bro, like you saying a whole lot of stuff and your backstory don't match up with your current narrative. So it's definitely
Yeah.
a ploy for relevancy. Speaking in that or whatever, whatnot. So
Right. You
I
think
guess people have to do what they do, to stay relevant.
right. Wow. Sad case for him, I guess.
Do you guys feel that there should be like a universal um like there kind of is a standard, but more like a solidified standard on what is hip hop, and then a maintenance of that, so things like this wouldn't happen. Um, because everybody has a hand in saying what's hip hop. They could almost just do anything and be like it's hip hop, and that's good that hip hop reaches touches a lot of different places. But should there be
Yeah.
like an upholding, maintaining of a standard, like you guys, the b-boys are pretty active, so that would, like, if there was a standard, that would be held up to, rather. But
Hmm.
like, even just with all the elements, should there be like, a definitive, this is hip hop more than what it is now? Because like everyone has a, you know what I mean, a definition, and most people are right, and then even most people can argue where, that's their point. But I mean, should there be
Hmm.
a flat out, you know what I mean, standard, and then should that be maintained? Because all these elements were formed, and then now that's what it is. And then you look back, and you know what I mean? But that hasn't been super solidified. That's where all the controversy comes from in the first place. But to me, I think there should be a standard, and then it should be upheld, where you won't get things where someone will be like, "Oh, it's outdated," because he would know it would have no choice to be relevant, because we're upholding the cultures, upholding and maintaining the standard. But I mean, what are your thoughts on that? That's kind of a loaded question.
Um, you know, uh, in the culture, we like I would say 25 years ago, back then, we like to believe that there was like a standard, an unwritten word, and in some respect there was, but as people get more platforms and people start to speak on narratives and they're not educated to speak specifically on specifics or can articulate specifics or cannot prove those specifics. You have a lot of people who are speaking and they don't know what they're talking about and they don't have the educational information to articulate these things, to create a standard. So things are like all over the place or whatever, whatnot. because of variables, again, because there's more information, there's more things coming out, there's a lot of things that we didn't know in the past that are showing up. um a lot of people are in their feelings about certain history that is been been more fine-tuned and been more accurate, or information that was never really expressed or told is showing up. So there's a lot of debate and all that going back and forth, and where are people in that evolution of information? Like myself, for the information that I've done, I realized that I had to present it in a certain way for people to catch on. If not, if I were to just hit them with everything, they wouldn't catch on, because they would say it was is too crazy. Um, I would say like 12 years back, a lot of people and a lot of OGs were saying, like, if you weren't there, you can't speak on this stuff. My research proved that and killed that, because it's like, if you say that, it's like, then you can't believe in the Bible. You can't believe in the Torah. You can't believe in the Quran.
Right.
You got to throw all that stuff out,
Right.
because none of us were there. So for somebody to say, if you weren't there, you can't speak on it. But when things start to show up, when you see consistency of information, you see a narrative of consistency, and the people who were there say, well, you know what, that's true, or they add on, or there's that's where it happens. But a collective, um, that would take a lot of work. I would say that in each element should have do its own research to do that. But there's so many agendas from people in the whole nine. It's just hard for people to agree without infusing what I call Beat Street syndrome. And people who suffer from Beat Street syndrome cannot let go of their blessed narrative that they're just so wrapped in. They can't let go of that. You know, but as far as like breaking, we're working on that. There's a bunch of people who are working on that. We're slowly, there's a few things out there that are like judging standards, which and then there's information and historical standards that we're doing, and we're working on creating some cohesion that will be coming in the new year or whatever whatnot. So people say that I'm a separatist and all that stuff. No, I'm just focusing on breaking, because as much as I articulate breaking, I can articulate all the four other elements. I can do rap information just at the same level, or any other of the four elements at the same level. Breaking just is the one that got the least attention, and it's the foundation of what spread throughout the world. You take breaking out of this, this lexicon, you know, all the events, the Wild Style tours and the Star Wars tours, and your rock steadies, your New York City breakers, and all of that's even in the mid '80s with Fresh Fest and all that stuff. They had breakers with them. So it's like breakers, created value. We don't add value to rap. We created the value to rap. We are the foundation of why rap is where it is right now. In the early '80s movies, like the rapper was the side product. There was like one or two rappers, but the movie was about breakers.
Because, like you said, it was basically call and response back then. It wasn't really MCing just yet.
Yeah,
It was just a call and response thing. So, and the breakers were already always there. So that
and a
makes a
lot of
lot of sense.
and a lot of rappers were b boys before that. A lot of
Right,
a lot of rappers were b
right.
boys.
All right, so now let me say this instead of asking this like a question. Let me say this, and you tell me how the both of you feel on this. All right. To me, a lot of the controversy is because there's like a lack, like a void of that the Zulu Nation kind of used to fill. A lot of the stuff that the people are being controversial over, like was there Puerto Ricans there or who this, um, a lot of that, like the people that explain it the best to me, like when Crazy Legs was on Math Hoffa, he had no choice but to say Zulu, and that was about 60% of the answer, and it sounded right. A lot of stuff to me, like coming up in Zulu, was already answered, you already knew about Disco King Mario and things like that. So one, I
Mhm.
think like to me the nation was the standard because I don't see it being like if Zulu was still prominent and moving right now, I don't see it being too much controversy because they would just answer that. Like I don't see how like I don't know who they would argue with. They would just say what it is, and I'm almost certain that be what it is because it's been the history laid out for us, and with a bunch of
That
different
part.
names, and you see these people come through, um, and so everybody agreed with it. So I don't know. I think a lot of it comes from Zulu not being around, able to answer it, and also even upholding the standard. Kind of when Zulu stopped messing with the trends. Bam used to liken it to when he got kicked off Hot 97. But I do see what that means. Kind of when Zulu was the most like youthful current thing in Hot 97 world, rather, so to speak. That might have been when they let that kind of slip. That might have been the first one where everybody could just come in and say what it is. But I don't know if you agree with that, but can you just tell me your thoughts on that? And then if you can, any of your recollection with the Zulu Nation of your time coming up as far as like what were the Zulus doing when you were, getting into breaking? But first, whatever you want to respond to, like I said, respond to.
All right. I would have to say emphatically, absolutely. We there is about 2.5 weeks ago. I was talking to Taekwon. He's the current global president of the Mighty Zulu Kings, and we talked about variables of all of this stuff that's going on, and if Zulu was still at the forefront of place of all of that. Um, a lot of this stuff, a lot of what people are saying would not exist. A lot of that stuff would be shut down. I mean, a lot of people may say that I'm crazy, but I think it goes a little darker and a little deeper in who's involved. Government interference into upset the balance of our culture. We've always been a people of interest to be upset it. You know, um, at the end of the day, racism is big money. Fear is
Right,
big money. Fear makes more money than racism. Those are the top
right,
two money makers. People, like this is something people don't really want to talk about. The biggest money makers are fear and racism. You if you have those things, you make a lot of money. And the misinformation, and then some people getting paid and whatever, whatnot. Just see what people have said in the past and see what they say now. Just do a 10-year span or a 15-year span of what people are saying, Jamar. And what they're saying and what
right.
they're saying now. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's some government influence, and we have the receipts on some of those people who the new COINTELPRO.
That is true.
So with that, when those people and all that stuff shows up or whatever, whatnot, my whole thing is like, you prove what you can say with proof. A lot of the craziness in the past 2 years of stuff that's been said, it's people who never spoke on these topics. We were the gatekeepers. We were the people to uphold this information. We were the ones that, researched this and researched this. We question our OGs.
Right,
We actually question them. I'm not one
right,
of those people that will, accept something for what it is. I question that. It's like, well, can you expound on that? Or I look into more things in narrative. Just to accept something for something what they say is not something, you get everything, up to par in order to, to get things, get accurately or as accurate as possible. You have to question certain things. You have to do research in the whole nine. And a lot of people are just spewing out certain things and saying a whole bunch of stuff, but they're not doing like real research to prove what they say. They're using semantics, or they're using stuff that's like they use video footage of somebody from the 1930s and say, "Oh yeah, this is the original b-boy." And my
yeah,
response to that is simple, like I said in the other video, is then you know what, then the Shaw brothers are part that
right,
created
right,
breaking also. So
It's a bunch
you
of
can use
regurgitation. It's a
you can
bunch of
use so many
regurgitation.
things, but do you have specific people? Do you have names? Do you have where they're from? Do you have what area of the Bronx they're from? Because it was all in the Bronx. We're going to just shut that down. It wasn't in any other area anywhere on the planet Earth, but in the Bronx. So it all came and started in the Bronx. So there were certain places in the Bronx where it started things. There's certain people that stayed in their area and some people who did traveling, not many, but there's some people, but for the most part, most cultures and areas did, their stuff in their area. So,
Right.
when people say, that Latinos weren't in the culture and all that stuff, well, you know what? Maybe from your perspective, because maybe in your area there weren't that many. But you said there were a few, but those were the few that lived there. Mr. Wiggles lived in a more black area. He saw Beaver and them dance. He didn't see so many other guys, or whatever, whatnot. So he can't speak on that. But then you have some people, you have some brothers who were in the more Latino area. You have guys like and then you got guys who moved around a lot, like Cisco from Beat Street, the guy with the cowboy hat, the tall, skinny guy with Wanda D. He was a b-boy. He also did flyers. He was also a member of Rockwell Association. A majority were Latino b-boys over, more on the east side. So you have these variables that people don't want you to know these things, and they try to shut people like us down. But my thing is like, if you're trying to shut down what I do and other people do, you got about 40 years worth of research to get on. You better start right now. And we're
Wow.
only we're moving into new areas of like doing documentaries and all that and exposing information, and we're showing the proof with pictures, accounts and all of those things. So
Right.
Zulu is very poignant in all of that stuff, because Zulu was the glue that held it down, and just the perspective, like it was the greatest institute as far as information and being the gatekeepers from all of that stuff, and coming up, I learned so much from Zulu, and seeing them. And even in my area as a kid, there were guys, from other areas that, were Zulus and all of that stuff. And then even my area, there were guys who were Zulu, and we looked up to those guys, and I always wanted to know more and more. And then, when I got in the right position, I educated myself.
The
you
thing
know
to me
but
is,
and
Wow.
that's the problem with culture. People don't want to
Uh,
educate themselves.
right.
They're quick
right,
to just
right, right.
believe somebody
We
because
don't
of,
research at all. We don't
No,
yeah,
research at all. And it's easy. Researching is
because you're a
easy.
rapper. You think you can speak this because you're a rapper, but where are your
right.
receipts? Were you in your whole career talking about this? Were you specifically talking about culture, outside of interviews and all that stuff? Were you articulating this? If you weren't doing this for at least 10 years, and that's me being generous, if you weren't doing this for 10 years, I won't even entertain your conversation.
Right.
If you ain't got 10 years worth of hip hop culture, specifically breaking, oh, forget it. But as far as all four elements, if you can't, if you don't even have 10 years worth of information to have an intellectual articulation, and it's just rant and you're negating and saying this isn't it and whatever, I'm not going to argue with somebody who says, oh, it's not that, because everybody has different access to information.
Right.
And that's the number
Wow.
one thing, access to information.
I think he
Yeah.
knows, because the truth is, and anybody from New York, hip hop was just an inner city poor people thing, black and brown people. That's just how the city was. I'm
Right.
almost certain Lord Jamar knows that, but he also is in the era where he has to, stay relevant, and it's such a small thing that he can expound because everybody is super microwavable. So this like that
Yeah.
little thing that you
Yeah.
could just be
But
like, the inner city was black and brown people, poor people. That's one, two, three. But this is months now because you can blow it up and make little shorts, and then he goes on this platform and does that. But it's a very
right.
stupid
And the crazier you
He go.
sound, the more people are going to
right,
listen.
right, right.
Yeah. He
Because
goes. He went from saying this is a hip hop is a black and Latino thing
right,
in one interview. Then years or months down the line, he's like, this is a FBA thing. Like it was started
right.
by FBA. So if it was
And
it
from their
black and Latino
criteria,
or was it FBA? Which
And you
one?
can't have that
and from their
And why
conversation.
did
criteria,
you change? Why did you change your position?
and from his criteria, from the FBA criteria, he's not an FBA candidate,
Yeah,
because
yeah, right. Because somewhere
his
down the
father
line, his right,
his father is, not from the States. He's
right,
Right.
Caribbean. Or no,
right,
South
right.
American, like
He did say that though. He did say that.
Guyanese. So,
Right. He did say that.
according to, that narrative, it's like, for instance, Homeboy, who represented the US, the brother from Texas, Jeffro.
Right. Right.
People, were asking me, well, what about Jeffro? He's black. It's like, nah, bro, that nigga ain't he ain't good enough for the FBA because he's half Haitian. So they didn't recognize him. So, I mean, they went as far as to look into him, I guess, because they never mentioned him. And he showed the quote unquote black style, what a lot of people say, when B-boys break or whatever, whatnot. He showed the essence of that style, whatever, whatnot. But that wasn't good enough. But, it's just funny how it works for some people and it don't work for some
Right.
people.
It's
And it
conditions.
says something about the audience. It says something about the
Yeah.
audience, what you will believe, what you will believe, what you will let go, and how you will agree with certain things, even though it goes against the criteria of what you believe in, but you'll go with it because you either don't want to be looked out as, not being a part of that, or being looked at as, I don't know, just like some messiness.
The
It's
thing is,
crazy.
you can't, well, to me, I don't think you can have that conversation through B-boy and hip hop, and almost no one calls me at night. Crazy. Um, you can't really have that conversation through, it's like that's a larger conversation. And the truth, and like I think like Lord Jamar, from what I understand, he kind of can be considered FBA, right? Because it's like I think it's like your grandparents or your parents' parents. If they're here, it's not like your other generation. It's like if your parents come from Haiti and then you're born here, then you can't be at like you kind of can't be. It
Then
has
you're
to.
a tether. Then you're considered a tether.
Right. So there's like little breakdowns.
So
And
it's three generations that
it
have
kind of makes
to
sense. Like
be here.
if my mom, you know what I mean? But then my son, or even my son, you know what I'm saying? He'll be
Mhm.
like,
Right.
because I'm born here, but
A
not with
tether.
him.
I mean,
Or
but that's
even
what they call it.
right.
Right.
Which is it's a correct term for the word. Tether means to tie, but it's just a weird term. It's
Right.
weird to label any of that, but that's a larger
Right.
conversation for all people of color that live in America. So you can't just all of a
Right.
sudden have that through b-boying, you know what I'm saying, or hip hop period, you know?
But see, it's, there's certain things that are looked at as like I guess, for lack of better words, inaccurate semantics. Like you're
Right.
using certain semantics to your advantage,
Hmm.
but the thing is like, we have the pictures, we
Right.
we we have the stories. These people are still around, and as
Right.
as time progresses, we're going to expound on that. You're going to see more of these people. These people are going to show up more. All these receipts are going to show up more. The narratives that are going to be spoken are going to show up more. And then a lot of people, not just the Jamar thing, but things in general that people are negating and breaking, who are outside of breaking. The community is starting, to speak out, and they're starting to address this stuff, and start, to go at these people. So it's like, um, I get a lot of calls, and a lot of people reach out and say certain things, to me or whatever, whatnot, about how they feel about all of this stuff, and people are starting to be more vocal about it.
I like
Right.
that people of color are having the conversation about foundational Black American, because it's something that should have been done. I don't know when you could say the beginning, but I mean I'm only 40 something years old, and it's been a needed conversation just in my life experience. So I
But
kind
what's
of
the
Yeah.
like,
sense of it though?
huh?
What's the sense of it though? Because I don't
Because
like,
like let me say this. Let me say this. I'm black. I'm born how I am. But at the
right,
same time, I've lived amongst a lot of different cultures. The most prominent
right,
one
same,
be
same,
Latino,
right,
where and it's deep, where it's everything Spanish for years. You know what I'm saying? I would have to
right,
like go see my like closest friends. I would only speak English like once a week, and it's when I go see like and that's fine. but I was always who I was amongst that. You know what I'm saying? It was understood. So I don't see
Mm,
why it's it's not it's only semi frivolous, right? Or not or non important, but kind of is because like all right, perfect example. Here's one. Not even to play around. Um when I got stabbed, right? I had the African girlfriend, and I'm in the house with her. She's taking care of me, nursing me back. Hey, the whole house African. The people there. You know what I mean? It's me, the American black. When they got comfortable enough, they got together, and I had to stand up for the black American man. Why y'all do this? Why y'all do that? If I had this, I could be doing these things. And I understand, but I don't. You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
if I went by the color, like they're black when you step out in that street. When we went to here, we was all black, but they came to me like, "Yo, are you Americans?" Da, 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 da. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Also,
right.
when I'm with the Latino people, one time when they got comfortable enough, they came like, "Yo." So you know, if I had Medicaid and paper, they just if I had paper, you know what I'm saying, which means a birth certificate and Social Security. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
They could be moving mountains. And then you talk to the Arabs in the deli. What I don't know why. It's because I'm very nice. They wait till they get comfortable enough and be like, "Bang,
Hmm.
why y'all black people
And
be
be all
doing
in your
this?" You know what I'm
business. Yep,
saying?
yep, yep, yep.
When I'm in Flushing, right? There's Bland Projects behind Main Street, and it's all Asian. They're all, you know what I'm saying? And then when they want to be cool, they'll come to the main block, and then their name is Keisha. They'll change their names to be like, I'm so and then they'll go home and be whoever. I've seen that, and Queens is all super diverse. I've
Yeah,
seen
yep,
many
yep.
different groups of people be cool in high school. Everybody the nigga with the rat, y'all blood, they this, and then they go home, or you try and be their boyfriend, and then you can't
And
you
it's a
can't
wrap.
do that.
But
So,
it's funny because I've traveled, like I was married to a Moroccan woman years ago, right? Before I had my first child, and I was in Morocco
I
for
remember.
a period of time.
I
And
remember.
right, you remember that, right? Yeah. So I remember I was with the sister I was married to, and we were watching a movie. We were watching an American movie, and I forgot what it was, but it was so-called African American actors. And she's like, "Do all black people act like that?" And I'm like, "Well, do I act like that?" She's like, "No." And I'm like, "What kind of question is that?" So then I had to go to Juma, right? And the masjid was like the apartment I had. The masjid was like a few 100 feet away. So I would walk back and forth 5 times a day. I would go pray, right, in the
mhm,
masjid, right? You hear that? It's beautiful, right? So we had to go to Juma. So I was rushing down because it gets packed, right? It's so packed that people are outside. Like if you don't get there before, like an hour before, the people are outside. So they're calling the sermon is done, right?
mhm.
So there's a guy across the street. There's a hookah spot across the street, right? Dude is smoking the hookah. As soon as they call the call to prayer, the Ikama, when we're about to pray after the sermon, he's rushing. He puts the hookah down, he's rushing. So after that, I asked her, I told her about it, right? So I said, all Moroccans smoke hookah. You should have saw her face and what she said
Yeah,
to me. And then she started going off in Arabic. Then she started going off in Spanish. Then she went off in English.
right. But that's
Just
the
because of
thing,
the colonialism, right?
right?
Yeah,
Because of the colonialism, she knows all these languages,
But do
but
you
it's
but
the
think
power.
that
It's the
distinction?
power of media. You know what? It's the power of media. Like no other group of people except for us are in a space of like the media bombarding the world of what they want
right,
the world to think of who we are.
right.
And not just and not just any type of people of color in this world, but us specifically
Black Americans,
states. You know what I
right,
mean? Like there's a
right.
perception and all that because the power of what we have, they have to counter that. The power of hip hop is so powerful. No matter what element you do, the influence. What's that? The hook of that one song Common has. When we move, the whole world follows in our path.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been like that. It
Right.
has always been like that. If all of a sudden, we start, doing this,
Right.
I
Somebody's
bet
gonna do it.
you,
Yeah,
I bet you
it'll be
people will start
trendy.
to people will start to emulate that. That's the power of what we have. Unfortunately, I don't think we really understand the whole power of what we have and what we're capable of doing because it's like there's this one part in the Matrix, and I never understood it until one day, like it hit me when Lawrence Fishburne says, the whole purpose of the Matrix is to turn you into this, and it was a battery. And
Mm-hmm.
I never understood what he meant by that. And then I started to think about it, and I was like, oh shit, it hit me. It just all of a sudden hit me. We are the battery source of everything. We are the battery source of culture. We are the battery source of all those things. Like I said earlier, the biggest money makers in this world, first is fear, second is racism, and then everything
Right.
else comes after that. You have the power to convey those tools or manipulate those tools in the world, you will keep them in control. Because if you tell people, like it's like this, the water is dirty, the food is dirty, the TV and all the information is all dirty, but yet we still show up to consume it. We don't sit here and say, "Hey, let's stop." What they say, you can fold the world's economy just by everybody taking a day off from work. It's
They're
that
never
simple.
gonna do.
That's
But we
crazy. Yep.
Crazy.
we're
We
so
won't
locked
do it.
we're so locked into our slavery that we don't
Right.
we don't overstand ourselves.
I do
I
So
think
I
that's
agree.
mean,
That's
a
it
crazy.
is
super
what it
deep
is.
conversation that needs to happen. I do also think like that distinction would help a lot for Black American people. One, and then like one, it would fulfill that identity that people have. It would kind of well, that problem that I feel we have at times. Also, it wouldn't allow everybody to just come in and be like, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't be with that, yo. I don't like. I cannot not be black. I can't go home and turn it
Right.
off. I can't
Right.
tell the
Right. You can't
police.
wash it off.
So
Right.
I don't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
And it don't matter if you're African or whatever or
right,
whatnot. If
right.
it don't matter, like I could be Puerto Rican.
You can.
The cop ain't gonna say, you know what? They're gonna lock y'all up, and
Right.
he's Puerto Rican. I'm like, no, that's all they see. That's all
That's true.
the world sees. That's what everybody sees. That's the everything. Like if you're another race, you could be gay, you could be Asian, you could be a whole bunch of things. You don't know what a person could be. But when you share the same experiences because you guys have the same skin tone, it's a given. We already know what it is. But the piggyback on what you were saying, the sad part about that is like the disconnect that we have from people, of our own skin tone in other
Yeah,
areas.
that's what I
That's
don't
that's
like.
the
I
sad
don't
part.
like them doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I get like when it's time when it's time to get down or when shit hits the fan and everybody's black and I'm with it regardless. I'm with it, me personally. I'm with like you could be anything and you'll still be my nigga. I have a bunch of different. You know what I'm saying? But as far as a
Hmm.
whole, I do not like the fact that they have that option to not be black whenever they want, and it could be.
Yeah.
I
Yo.
I don't
That
really like
that
that.
that's
The,
that's what I call people who are conveniently black.
That's what I'm
yo.
which
It's crazy
which
because
happens more than the police. Like I get
it
that
does.
inner racism more than I get the police. You know what I'm saying? And
Yo,
then it don't even matter when the police is there because now we all black until we're quiet.
bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Alone.
They get that
I'm
wake up
Muslim.
call. They get
Right.
I'm
that wake up.
Exactly.
Muslim. I go through it in the masjid all of the time.
Right.
From the time I took my shahada, which was
Mhm.
almost over 15 years ago, till now.
Yeah.
Like I deal with it. Like, they look down on you. They look like, like sometimes they'll greet you, sometimes they won't. They'll treat you just like whatever. It's just like in my country, we were born and raised Muslim. You came into this. Like you came into my religion. That's
Right.
how they
Right.
act.
Right.
Like they own the religion.
Which no one
And
does.
we
You know what
had
I'm
you
saying?
as slaves. We had you as slaves. This is some of the Africans, some of the Indians, Asians. That's how they act, man.
So
It's
how
it's
do you deal
crazy.
with
It's
that?
it's
Are you like I
um
hear like are you stand up because you're stand up, or are you like purposely because you're black? Like let me really be. because I know they're watching me because I'm black. Because sometimes I feel like
No,
it's
nah, yo, man,
gotta
I
be
move
with
how
the
I
truth.
move. I move how I move regardless.
I hear that.
I move how I move regardless. I don't like you. You know me, so I
You
don't.
know,
I'm not. I don't sugarcoat anything. Like I know, like when I'm in the presence of another Muslim, I'm supposed to deal with them accordingly, a certain kind of way. So I try not to violate that, regardless of how
yeah,
they act. And that's me with pretty much everybody anyway. I don't fly off the handle unless I deem it as super disrespectful. But there's been times like I remember I was in college, and I was in the military, so I was getting the GI Bill, and I like to buy sneakers, I like to buy stuff, and they knew I was in school, right? So I never told a lot of people I was in the military, whatever, because it's really not. It didn't come up in conversation. So this guy's like, brother, I think he was from Bangladesh, and he's like, brother, how you get all these clothes? You don't have a job. I work. I come to this country. I work. I was like, well, I was like, I'm in school. I get paid to go to school. How do you get paid to go to school? Why can't I get paid to go to school? I'm like, are you serious? It's like, why are you so like involved? And then I had another person ask me, you have a car? I said, yeah, but you don't have a job. I'm like, so what are you trying to insinuate? Like,
man,
I'm just like, man,
like
it's
that.
sad, man. It's sad. Like, we're painted like if you travel and you go
Right,
overseas, this is how they view us. They look at these movies, and not for nothing, they look at movies, but sometimes when we travel to these places, we don't have the etiquette they have
exactly.
because they're more simpler people. So they think every Black American is the same way.
because
You know,
they've only been fed one frequency of
right,
Hmm.
who we are and what we
right,
are, and they get all that in the movies. So when they see a black American in their country, certain countries they look, oh, and in certain countries they're like standoffish, or like it's crazy. You know what? For black people, it's like how I say, for b-boys. Every time you are out and about, you are a representative of your narrative. So for b-boys, I tell them every time you are breaking, whether you're breaking on the side of the road, or whether you're on a video where you're doing a performance, or whether you're teaching a class, you are a representative of your culture and your in your narrative. The same with black people. You know, I understood when I was in certain places or whatever, whatnot. Um, I'm not the type of person that needs to prove anything or whatever,
right,
whatnot. But I did not want some of the narratives of people seeing like, oh, this is just a dumb nigga. You know what I mean?
right,
There's a
right.
way I carried myself because I didn't want them to see that stereotype or give them the satisfaction of saying, oh, that's how they are or whatever, whatnot. And I've had people, I've been in situations at jobs and all that, like, you're the first black person I've ever met. It's like, or, it comes out like, no, I've never grown up or never been around black people. And it's like,
That's crazy.
yeah,
That's
it
crazy.
still
That's
exists,
crazy,
man.
man.
It
I
still
know.
exists.
I know. I
And
know.
and the whole thing is, and then when you talk to them, they're like, they're thrown off by that, or they're thrown off by, like if like, in breaking, you have friends from all over different countries and different backgrounds and all that stuff. So hanging out with like some of my Asian friends and going to their families' houses and all of that stuff, and and they're asking 101 questions, and they come to realize, they're like, yo, like I have to admit, like nothing like I thought you would be.
What I
I
thought.
mean,
Right. Right.
it's like, well, I mean, that's because you've got to judge people on how they interact with you, and not look at people like that. I've always been around multi ethnic and race people from different races and all that stuff, even before this whole thing of this whole global hip hop thing. So it was something that wasn't like out of place for me. There's
Right.
times, I moved around a lot. At times I lived in all uh, Spanish areas. I've lived in all black areas. I've lived in mixture areas and the whole nine. So I've lived in all of those demographics. One place where I lived in, My family and the next door neighbors were the only black families. And one day we woke up and they burned a cross on their lawn, their front lawn.
That's crazy.
So
I've
so
seen that
see
before.
seeing all of that, and that same in that same school, I got kicked out of that school because every time one of them white boys called me nigger, I got into a fight. But the the principal, the vice principal, never went to those kids' families because they don't want a racial problem. They don't want to be known. They don't
Right.
want that to
Right.
be like, no, we're one of those towns. We
Media
already
attention.
had a bad
Yeah.
thing with the cross being burned, but we don't want any racial problems. We don't want Al Sharpton coming in, and like that's how they get, and the
Right.
whole nine
Right. Right.
and whatnot. But and I told my mom, and I told the principal, I was like, you know what, you might as well kick me out now, because the next time one of them crackers, calls me a nigga, I'm not gonna not hit them. I'm not gonna not hit them. That is something that
That's
is
true
not on the
fact.
table. Like the
Right.
last police officer that put hands on me, he has post traumatic stress disorder right now.
I hear that.
It's crazy.
And when I beat his ass, I turned him around, I looked him dead in the face, and I said, "I did this to you. Remember me." Because this same dude killed one of my friends and cracked a skull
Oh
over
wow.
another one of my friends. So he had a propensity for violence. Wasn't going to be me. Wasn't going to
Right.
be me. I'm
That's
I'm I'm not the type of person who's not afraid to fight for their life. You ain't gonna
how it
beat me
should
down
be.
in the street and you not get hurt too.
Right.
And I'm not gonna lie. I'd rather beat a cop's ass than beat another black man down.
Exactly.
That's
I
my
like that.
It's
philosophy.
crazy.
I like that. I like how you tied hip hop and b-boying in there. Because again, I feel like if hip hop had a standard and was upheld, a lot of things would be kind of different. People like right now, that's the most popular form of like pop culture and music, right? So people would imitate that instead of. And the crazy part is they are imitating hip hop music, just not good hip hop music. But if it was like a standard
Hmm.
upheld, they would be imitating that, and then that would be the trend and the culture, and then that would be what people would see, and then maybe my little brother or my little cousin or my little students would perpetuate a different stereotype when they're on the train and the Spanish lady only sees black people when she's going to work, and that's what they would look a little different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
But
I
like
like,
I
But we have to rewire. The problem
yeah,
in hip hop culture, we need rewiring. We have
we
right.
to
do.
rewire our thinking
Yeah.
system and how we look. Like look at the things that's going on. Everything. Look at how people went in on breaking after the Olympics. Look what Jamar's talking about. Look at all these things or whatever. Whatnot.
Yeah,
For
Remember
one
this.
person. For one
This
person.
Yeah, this stuff is
right,
supposed to
exactly.
be. We're celebrating art. This is a milestone. This is a part where like how the breaking community felt when people outside of breaking and then well-known rappers like Jamar. I had to go in on Method Boy. I had to go in on him because he was talking smack, and then I made a comment to what's his name from Fat Boys. I had to go in
Cool
on
rock
him.
cool rock ski?
Cool Rock Ski, yeah, he's some greasy stuff about breaking and all that. Said rappers should have done a little better job because and I'm paraphrasing. He said something like breaking was ass and all that. I was like, yo, what if I said that your records are only good to be used as frisbees or used as alcohol coasters,
Wow.
or fuck the Fresh Fest. You know
Wow.
what I mean? Like, how would you feel about that? You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Right.
and he didn't like that too much. And he what did he do? He unfriended me, but ironically he friended me again like a week later. And I'm like, yo, kick rocks, bro. We good. We good.
I
You
can't
know, we
believe
don't
they
we
they
don't
was
we
hating
don't
like
we don't
that,
come in
man.
we don't come in and make fun of y'all for Takashi's 169 or whatever the hell his name is. We don't make we don't hold y'all accountable for Vanilla Ice. We don't hold y'all accountable
Right.
for a lot of the whack shit. We don't hold y'all accountable from 2000 to 2024, all the whack juice that came out of rappers now.
Yo, what's
But yo,
crazy
we're
is that
doing it.
they're not even held accountable for letting non-creators tell them how to
Yeah.
create.
So Jamar and them have so much to say about breaking and all this stuff, but yo, your house ain't clean, bro. Why don't you
Yeah,
speak
that's
on your
crazy.
element? Because you know nothing about our element. Because guess what? There's a lot more b-boys that can rap than rappers break.
And a lot of them say they used to. I used to pop lock. You know, you hear that. I used to break a little bit. You hear that, so it's really surprising, man, that they have this sentiment.
And then you got
That's really
people like
crazy.
Jiggy. You got people like Prince Low and Jiggy that, you know what I'm saying? My man Prince, yo, Prince don't even need an invitation. He don't need the camera. He's like he's older than me, and all he like you could tell he loves that. Like he lives
Yeah.
off being a hip hop ambassador and dancing and being jiggy. But if he's just in a bar, you know what I mean, and you look at him too long, he's just gonna break out. You know what I'm saying? He's not even on the bill. Like things like that is fire to me because like that's how you do it. Like you could tell he does it just from the heart. You know what I mean? And he's
And you keeping the
always
culture
happy.
alive doing that
Right.
too.
And
Yeah.
you could
You
tell he's
keeping it
happy being able
relevant.
to do it. Like it looked like he would because my son Born is also I forgot who he was. He had like another name, but he's also like a dancer. He used to dance for like special ed. So like he's another one that just does it for the love. And both of them to me like they're never like you could tell a little more so with Prance because Prance is all over the world and Born's like me.
Mhm.
We still have a 9 to 5, but the both of them have
Mhm.
it no matter what that fire where and these people are like
Yeah,
10
yeah, you
years.
don't lose that. You
You know
don't
what I'm
lose that.
saying?
Let the right beat come on.
It's
Right.
insane, and then like I admire things like that, and I didn't even see how like I didn't even like how do I say like I've always known and always seen like Rocksteady and Breaking still doing their thing no matter what,
Mhm.
even after there's no more Rocksteady. Where was it at the pier, and then it started being in Jersey, and then things like
Mhm.
that. But I didn't even really think of like the Kid and Play type dancers, or even Ziggy or Prince and Ziggy. Like I didn't even really think about that my whole time coming up, like late '90s and 2000s, up until I met Prince, and Prince ain't never like he's just been going, and I
Yeah.
admire that, yo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's still a place for that dance style.
Right, right.
Like a few times for the past three weeks on Instagram and Facebook, we were in conversations talking about Jamar, and the interesting thing that showed up is the brand Nubian dancers. One of the brand Nubian dancers found out about what he said, and he was like, "Wow."
Yeah.
So we had interesting conversations with him. He wasn't breaking, but he appreciates it because he's a dancer.
Right.
And most breakers appreciate all the other forms of street dance.
Right, right.
Right.
Most, not all, but most breakers will not, like, okay, they'll talk down about this dance style and all. Appreciate all the other street dances, appreciate ballet, appreciate all these other forms of physical expressions and other forms of dancing, whether it's in hip hop or not, or whatever. So there's always a mutual respect for just dance in general. Um, and you would think that, like a lot of people from the community and the culture, people they always say, "Oh, I love hip hop" or "I respect hip hop" in the whole nine, but they only talking about one aspect of hip hop, and it's like,
Right.
honestly, y'all are talking about the last element in hip hop, the youngest one, like the
And
young
they
buck
think
out.
that's the only element of
Saying
hip
no.
hop.
Yeah,
They
like
think that's the only just
and you ask questions about hip
MCing
hop culture,
and
and it's like,
DJing.
I remember somebody a few days ago asked something about what was the greatest, moment in hip hop, and everybody wrote about rap and all that stuff and the whole nine. And my response was, breaking from breaking from 2000 to 2024. And the reason why that is like right now, even even not even just breaking, but hip hop, all four elements as a whole, right now is the greatest time in hip hop culture because we have access to so much information. that was never there. We have access to these people that were there. Do you see all these podcasts of people telling the stories about your favorite song, your favorite artist? They talk about stuff. So when like a few years ago, I used to say, when they say the golden era of hip hop, I said the golden era of hip hop was the worst time in hip hop, and I believe it. And the reason for that is like the golden era of hip hop. There were no scratches in rap records. Graffiti hitting the trains died. Breaking was gone. Very, people, MCs were rapping with DATs. They weren't rapping with
Hmm.
DJs. The
With DJs,
beats would
right?
slow down. You didn't have fast beats, with the exception of somebody like Coogee Rap and a
Right.
Kane who pushed the high speed stuff. Everybody else was like slow, boom bap. Karis, mess with a few tempos and the whole nine, but your G raps and your Canes, those guys really mess with the tempos. They were the guys who were pushing like that speed. Rakim, of course, was doing different tempos and all of that stuff or whatever. Whatnot. But at the height of the golden era of hip hop, all three elements was gone. That was the
I never even
beginning.
thought about that.
That
Yeah,
was the
me neither.
beginning that sunk the ship in the educational and
Mm,
perspective of hip hop culture, and everybody switched over to saying rap, 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 and nothing else is hip hop. Writing's not hip hop, DJing's not hip hop, MCing's not hip hop. You don't even need a DJ to perform. Thank God for guys like Gangstar who kept that tradition.
Right.
that's
Yep.
true.
You know what I mean? And other people that that get on. You got a dude named. There's these two dudes. One from Philly, and I think the MC's from Brooklyn. The MC is MC Miz, and then and then you look these dudes up; they're incredible. And then there's the DJ's from Philly called no, the Fresco is the MC. He's from Brooklyn, and then his DJ was Miz. They're the only two dudes in hip hop history that won world supremacies at the New Music Seminar. They won belts in their respected years at the same time. They're an MC and a DJ. They're a DJ and an MC. They're a group. They both won the battle supremacy for the MC and the DJ. No one has ever done that. And these dudes are ridiculous. Both not, and they never gelled off, but they had that recipe of the culture. We really don't harbor the essence of this culture. We really don't support that. Some of the greatest narratives of the culture, like, for instance, you got like the Wu-Tang Clan or whatever, whatnot. Yo, those dudes they should still be popping. But, we understand new things come in and out and whatever, whatnot, and things change or whatever, whatnot. But the illest stuff that does happen, no matter what element it is, it's always below the radar.
That's
It's
true.
always
I
below
think
the radar. Like for instance, like your shirt. I forgot to say that's a dope ass shirt. Madlib.
Appreciate
To
it.
me,
very
everybody talks
cool.
about Dilla and everybody talks about this guy and all
It's
that. To me, Madlib.
Quasimodo.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
Quasimodo.
Quasimodo in the crosshair. Yeah, it's
But
Quasimodo in the
but
crosshair.
Um,
but for me, Madlib is that dude. I like
That's why
different
I
producers.
asked you that
I
day.
think
That's why I asked you that day when you posted the Mad Lib beat, and I said who did it better, him or Planet Asia?
But
And you
still,
was
that's
like,
still
that's a
still
hard.
a tough thing.
It's the
I'm thinking
same.
about it.
And actually,
You
I
messed me up
forgot
with
to.
that question.
I know, but I forgot to also ask you. Kanye did the same sample for Nas too on Bonjour, on the song Bonjour on that
I gotta
Nasir
check that
album.
out.
It's the same exact sample. The same exact sample. I forgot what
It's a
song
tough sample.
Madlib used it. Madlib used it.
Yeah,
Planet Asia used it
you know
on
the
a
best
song with him and Hus Kingpin.
the best way to judge
Yeah,
that would be how was it sequenced, how what drums
right.
you use and how later, because like I know my history of drums too, of drum sounds.
Right.
The stipulation drums, your skull snaps, and all those drums and all that. I love all of that stuff. And the whole
Yeah,
nine. Like each
Madlib
kick
is
and
dope.
snare.
I
Man,
like
that
his
dude
brother
is
too.
he.
Oh no is
Yeah,
dope too.
Ono is dope. Ono
His
is dope
brother,
too.
and right. I listen to them. I listen to Luke Pack. Like when
Yeah,
Luke Pack is him. Oh no, is Madlib. Oh no, and Metaphor. I think Metaphor is a
metaphors.
yeah,
part of
yeah.
them.
Metaphor. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
And you know
Metaphor.
what?
Yeah,
Here's something that you bring out because they're Cali cats. You know, when I go out to Cali and I go to like B-Boy Summit and some of those the B-Boy events, yo, those dudes will show up at those events
Yeah, yo,
out in Cali.
they're
You
real
know,
hip hop
the,
heads. They're real
the
hip hop heads.
writers will be there, the MCs will be there,
Yeah.
at the B-Boy events. You know, they
Right,
show up in the only time, the MCs, over here really show up, and they do, like your rock steadies, but they were slated to be there. One
right.
dude that I always said that always supported breaking as the MC, because people think that I hate rap, and it's far from that. I just hate those who don't appreciate it. I'm a rap fanatic, but God rest his soul, Pumpkinhead. He
Oh, he was
Pumpkinhead, he
dope.
would every Sunday we would always would be out in Brunswick, and Pumpkinhead would always show us love, man. He would always show us love, man. He would do freestyles. We would be dancing while he would do freestyles in the whole nine. And and then after a while we saw Pumpkinhead. We would be in Brooklyn, Pumpkinhead's there. We'd be in Philly, Pumpkinhead was there. We'd be, in Brunswick, Pumpkinhead was there. Like Pumpkinhead was just everywhere we were at. But he that dude really had an appreciation,
And he was
and
dope. He
and
was
it's
dope
just
too.
a shame, like we don't have anything great, where it's all four elements. The last thing I saw that was, another thing that was real dope was an event in the early 2000s called Scribble Jams. Scribble Jams had a battle for every element. Eminem
I
used to
remember
go to
Scribble
Scribble
Jam. I
Jams
never
before
been there,
he,
but I remember it. Right,
Juice, the dude at Eminem battle back in the day, he
right.
went, he went to Scribble Jams. Pumpkinhead, yo, Pumpkinhead, I remember one time I forget what I was doing. I was doing some b-boy stuff, but I was supposed to drive out with Pumpkinhead because they were driving out. It's in Columbus. We were supposed to go out there or whatever, whatnot, because they had all four elements and
Mhm.
and there was always battles and all of that stuff. I mean, we really need all of that, but like to go back to your question about the cohesiveness. I think what's going on with breaking. I think breaking. We're gonna just like work on getting our shit together and then saying, okay, this is we have our stuff together. So this is what we're gonna do. Present that because in breaking, we're not gonna sit there and tell the rap community how to do things. We're not gonna tell the DJ community how to do their things or whatever, whatnot. But we will go to those things and support them and show support. We just a little support back. That's what it comes down to.
Right.
All right, real quick, definitely plug what you're into, what you got going on, even though you said it a few times, but just at the end, let them know what's coming up for you, where can we see you, and what you got coming up.
Um, well, right now, I'm just doing schoolwork. We're in we're creating a business. We're going to create a hub. We're going to create a social media platform for breaking. We're going to have like our own Facebook, MySpace, Instagram for breaking. And it's going to have a lot of things. We're going to marry culture with business. We're going to be doing classes. We're going to be doing documentaries. In the new year, we're going to start filming. I'm finally going to start putting together my documentaries. I've got a lot of surprises. I don't want to give too much out, but they're going to be very. I got a billion and one ideas, and it's going to be very very interesting. Also, my one brother, from TBB, he's doing a documentary on the crew, and then also on hip hop culture and as a whole. So I'm helping, with that. And then Dancing Doug, who was one of the original Herculoids, helping him with his documentary. That should be coming out in the not too distant future. And then also in November, we're going to be doing the Breaking Hall of Fame, this year's Breaking Hall of Fame awards. So we're getting
Where's that?
together.
Where's that being held?
That's going to be held in. It's going to be held in the city. I have to get actual the actual date. I just saw it, the other day. But one of the interesting thing, one of the breaking crews that was one of the new nominees, one of the first official nominations was the Shaka Zulus. Those were the Zulu Kings rivals.
Oh
But
wow,
that will be coming in. That will be happening in November. I think the first 2 weeks of November. I'll keep you
that's
guys
dope.
posted with that. So we're
That's
getting the
dope.
nominees, for all of that together. That usually happens around. This will be the fourth year of the Breaking Hall of Fame
Okay.
awards.
Not gonna lie.
So
Before we get into Just P, um, we're definitely gonna have you come back because we didn't even get into
yeah, yeah,
breaking after
yeah,
'76 to go to
yeah.
the '80s and to the '90s
Absolutely.
and so forth. But we're gonna do that another time. But we definitely want to get you and
Huh?
Batch if possible because
Yeah,
I think that would be so dope if
yeah,
we could get you and the brother Batch
yeah,
from the Bronx Boys on here
yeah,
at the same time, and y'all just drop the real history. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'll reach out to him. He's out in Colorado. So
Okay,
I'll reach out to them. And what are they? I think they're like 2 years, 2 hours
two
behind us.
hours.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I think they're
Okay,
like
we'll
2 hours.
figure it out. God willing,
Yeah,
we'll
Yeah. So
figure
yeah,
it
yeah,
out.
definitely. I'll
you
reach
definitely
out
got
to
to
him.
do that because I didn't know there was a Shaka Zulu's breakdancing crew that was
Yeah,
right to the Zulu Kings.
yeah,
Or,
yep,
I mean, I didn't like. Okay, like I love you guys. Okay, I ain't really agree in my heart of hearts of him naming the B-boys. I like, what did Bam take the name Zulu Kings and then make it a title to aspire to? That's how I thought about it. But now that
yeah,
you throw the Shockers in there, well,
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
That's
it can
crazy.
it
Yeah,
can get
the Shockers,
confusing.
because
Yeah,
I
it
right,
can get
I
confusing.
thought
People
died.
people have come up to me and asked me to explain that, and I'm like,
Yeah, there's people
okay,
that fought, died, and killed for both those titles. And
yeah,
you know what
right,
I'm saying?
right,
So
right.
definitely
Yeah,
when you come back, just remind me to remind you, or you remind me to remember
yeah,
to speak on
right.
that.
yeah,
That's crazy.
It
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Who are
yeah.
they? Can you name one? Can you
Um,
name one?
there's Popeye. There's the president who his name
I
is
heard of
Wade.
Popeye.
He's
I heard of
he's on
Popeye.
Facebook. He goes by Shaheem, but his original name is Wade. He was the president of that crew. There's a brother. I forget his first name, but his last name is Muhammad. There's a few of them. And then he just posted up a post of when he said they were confirmed to get inducted, because they were one of the people on my list to get inducted. And then on his post he listed a whole bunch of people. So hopefully they'll all, as many of them will show up. There's another dude. Here's another one. Peter, no, no, Peter Rodriguez. Now, Peter Rodriguez is a Puerto Rican b-boy
But
that
was
was
with
a
Shaka
Shaka Zulu.
Zulu. But with Shaka Zulu B-boy. That's
But
crazy.
So when
wasn't
these
it
dudes said there
easy?
were no Puerto Ricans around, see, first they said there were no Puerto Ricans around, but then they found
Right,
out, see, like, when they find out they can't like really push the exact narrative, then they say, well, okay, but then there weren't a lot of them, and then,
right. It
then when
changes. They move
well,
the goalpost every time.
they keep downgrading their narrative and
Right,
the whole nine
right,
or whatever because the receipts keep showing up.
Right.
So yeah,
right.
he was a prominent dude. And then there were b boys. There was little Shaka who was a Peter Garcia. He passed on, but he was a baby. He was a baby Zulu.
Like
So like
the Shaka Zulu B-boys. The,
say that one again.
like my Zulu or or was he like a baby Shaka Zulu B-boy? Like the
No,
B-boy?
he was like a baby Zulu with like Beaver and them, like Beaver and Little Boy Keith and all them. Like when it was like so you have Zulu masters, then you had
Hmm.
Zulu kings, and then you had baby Zulus. So
Right,
baby Zulus was Peter Garcia and them. They were the younger guys, like the guys like Little Boy Keith and Beaver and all those dudes. And then you have the Shaka Zulus. Now the Shaka Zulus, I got flyers, so if you need any of that stuff, I can send you any of that stuff, the pictures or whatever. Whatnot. Now the Shaka Zulus, they used to battle the Zulu Kings at the anniversary events or events like Shaka Zulus threw on an event and they called out the Zulu Kings. And
P is
they had I've
confused.
got two flyers. I got two flyers of them in 77 and in 78 of them battling against each other. The Shaka Zulus versus the Zulu Kings. In you talk to Charlie Rock, he talks about this stuff also.
Did they get those names from Zulus, or did they see Zulu and say we're gonna name us that? Or were
Okay,
they
so the
started?
thing the thing with the thing with Shaka Zulus was Wade um Shaheem was he wanted to be a Zulu king, but they had like a limited space, and they so he Bam told him, well, you know what, why don't you make up your own squad and call them Shaka Zulus.
Okay, did it came from
So
there.
that's exactly where that came from. And
Right.
then he recruited a bunch of b-boys from all over the Bronx, some from Bronx River and whatever whatnot, and
So they all
and then they
uh,
their rivals.
they all stem from Zulu.
Yeah, yeah, they're all Zulu, Bronx River, in
Yeah,
the
that's all.
surrounding areas with that stuff.
I thought, wow,
Yeah,
that
there's a lot, bro.
yeah,
There's a
you'll
lot.
definitely get into it
Yeah,
when we could
There's
do
a
it
lot.
because we
There's a
gotta.
lot of information.
I'll
And
be.
this is the thing. We need to expound on this. We're going to start interviewing these people and
right.
and doing all that stuff so we get them out. So even if there's anybody you guys want to speak to, whatever I can do to
Yeah,
connect y'all with,
absolutely,
you
absolutely,
know, any of the
absolutely.
stuff you see on the page or whatever. If you want me to try to connect you guys with that, just let me know and I'll see what
Yeah,
I can do.
yeah,
A lot
definitely.
of times, most of the time, those guys are cool about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank
I
you.
see that. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
All
So,
right, we'll be quick.
just P,
I got you.
just P. You,
Um,
you, you're. Hold on. Let me
you
tell
can
the
do
audience because a lot of people don't even know. Like it's
just
not
listening.
people we know. It's not only people we know that are listening. So the brother Zulu King Just P is, I must say, because I used to rap myself. He's a formidable
I try.
MC, a fierce MC. You know what I'm saying? I will say that, and I don't be giving nobody. I don't like nobody. According to L1, according to a lot of people, I don't like nobody.
I,
Right? I'm a hard critic. Right? I'm a harsh critic. Right?
right,
But Just P is nice. You got an album or a project dropping. Can you talk about that real quick before we go?
right. The album is called Product of New York. The digital release date is October 2nd. The physical release date, when we'll have like CDs and I think a vinyl, that's October 25.
You're putting
Um,
out vinyl?
yeah, well, we're trying. If it's not this project,
That's dope.
it's one right after. We've
That's
been like
dope.
for the past 2 weeks, we've been back and forth trying to get like vinyl in a certain way because you have rappers, the current generation, they'll have that merch, they'll have vinyl, like as far as the underground and indie scene,
Hmm.
they'll have cassettes now as like collector's items. So I'm trying to get to that level where that merch goes as much as like t-shirts and regular things like that. But
Yeah.
certain companies only do like 90 dude from 91 that did a demo with whoever, and then didn't come back. Like they will buy the demo for any group that comes out of the 90s, whether you were prominent or not. You just got to be from the 90s. And so that
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Wow.
struggle. A lot of the companies are overseas, and that's where that's prominent. So the struggle with the vinyl is you could either just put the money up and do it yourself or deal with the company. But I, just like my partner, G Clef, we kind of want,
Peace
what
to
you
G
just buy
Clef.
it up front and then you can, we want money up front, you buy the album and then you could duplicate as much as possible. But so it'll
Mhm.
either be this album, more than likely I think it's this album from the last time I spoke to him. But definitely vinyl would be in there. And
Okay.
I don't even know, like, I'm sure they play his records, but what's crazy is it's just collector's items for like collectors. Cause I don't think, I mean, maybe people have cassette players, but that's like a thing now
Yo,
where
that's coming back,
yeah,
because
for
some of
sure.
my boys who do music, they like, yo, I got my stuff on cassette, and they sent me cassettes.
Yeah,
The
and it's
cassettes are
crazy.
coming
Yeah,
back, and people are trying to bring back boom boxes.
right, right, right.
That's
Those type of
crazy.
things. And then if I
You
had those
should.
merchandise, you
I miss
can,
it.
yeah, all of that. And mind you, I mean, I would care if you play it, but just, you know what I'm saying? I could totally understand if you collect it. You know what I mean? But as far as this project is with, it's fully produced with one producer. His name is Bo Fat. He's out of Germany. He works a lot with the Snow Goons. He's signed to the Snow Goons, which is like a big production team out of Germany that's worked with everybody, especially the golden
Everybody,
era
right?
rappers. So we connected by I did a feature over one of his beats, and then I
What,
reached.
what's the name of the producers,
His name is Bo Fat, Bo Fat Beats. So Bo
and what
Fat
crews
is
he represent?
the Snow Goons.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. That's why I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm familiar with the Snow Goons.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
they got
pretty.
some dope stuff.
Yeah, they're pretty
Yeah.
big. So they got like they expand. It was two people, and then it was three. I think it's three now, and they just signed Bo Fat maybe like last year or so. So
Okay.
Okay.
you
It's
know
dope.
that's a good connect. Those are good people, all of them. Gunner, all of them, the whole Snow Goons and Bo Fat are definitely good people. So it's just we connected with the feature, and then he gave me, when we talked about doing a project. I call it Product of New York. It ain't like most of my projects, honestly, is where I'll pick the beats. Like for my last couple of projects so far, it's where producers give me whatever, and then I'll just rock them. You know what I'm saying? I don't really be like, send me more. Like whatever you give
Hmm.
me, if it ain't crazy and I can make something of it, I do. But
Hmm.
we did that with Bofat. He gave me a good selection. And the thing I noticed with the Snow Goons and Bofat is they're really into New York and golden era New York. Now I'm not
Yeah,
golden
yeah,
era.
they really into that sound.
Right, right, right. So I kind of, it wasn't hard for me to just tell them about New York, like, so I just went into my everyday life a little more than usual, you know what I'm saying? And it's a dope project. It'll be out October 2nd. After that, I got another project. I got something I've been sitting on since before. I went to prison in 2018, and my goal before then was to drop an album every 3 months. So I will record every week, put them
That's
together.
a lot of work.
Yeah, yeah, and the crazy part is I came home doing it. Like I'm still trying to. So far, I've gotten it up to 2 albums a year. I'm trying to do like I dropped an album in January. I'm doing this right here. If I can get one out, maybe like I don't like doing anything after Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? The numbers come in. I like to watch my progress with like the
Mhm.
streaming services. So those numbers come back around Thanksgiving. So I don't really want to, I want everything to count. And then you just wait like a couple of weeks and it's a whole new year. So I'm not, so if I
Yeah,
can't do at least three this year, I'll save it for next year. But
you got your own fiscal. You got your own fiscal year,
right, right, right.
your own fiscal system.
Right, right, right. So as far as G Clef, the Mad composer, that's his full title, G Clef, right?
Yeah.
So he's a producer that did a lot with jazz, the Weldon
The
Irvine, like
Philharmonics.
yeah, the Ghetto Philharmonics,
Yeah, the
and then he
Ghetto
got into New
Philharmonics,
York.
right?
He was signed to Jizz Entertainment, and then he started a label Chamber Music. So the thing with Wu Tang is he got with Buddha Monk from Brooklyn Zoo, and they started putting out all the affiliates that were sitting on music or didn't put an album out when RZA was at the helm, or like
Mhm.
whoever was around when RZA was super popping and dropping groups. He had Razor Sharp Records, he had Wu Tang Records, right? And he might have had another
Yeah,
label,
36 Chambers,
36
36
Chambers.
Chambers.
But there's
Yeah.
a wealth of artists that didn't get to put projects out like Lounge Low, Don Pacino and his solo projects. A lot. What's crazy is a lot of Brooklyn Zoo. You would think Brooklyn Zoo is the first affiliate and one of the main affiliates groups of Wu Tang. And Old
Mhm.
Dirty Bastard, Brooklyn Zoo, they're like the first affiliate group, but they don't get a lot of shine for a bunch of different reasons. So that was their goal. Um, me, I'm putting albums out. I'm Zulu. I got with my Zulu brothers. We put an album together. Watts on it. He was in the group. And when I came across Clef, he offers distribution and some promo. So I just wanted that. You know what I'm saying? I just dropped the records off, and then he must have listened to it, and then he wanted to like work further or more exclusive. So I put out a lot of albums with him up until I went to prison, and so then I had to sit down. You know what I mean? But one, we had an album before I went to prison, and then Clef got really sick, and then it was the pandemic. I came home February 2020. The pandemic was March 1st till like yesterday or something, right?
Yeah, that pandemic
Yeah,
messed everybody
yeah,
up,
And
messed
then
yeah.
Clef got
everybody's
really,
plans.
Clef got like
It's like hit
super
the
sick.
reset button.
Right. So we sat on those songs before I went to prison. Then he got sick. It took like another year for him to recover. And me, I just kept working. I came home. I go to the lab. I drop albums. I get a job. I go to work. I make sure my son's alive and listening to me. And then it's all about the music. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So I kept dropping albums. But
Yeah.
now we're about to like we had to go back and touch it up. And now we're about to release that. So that album will be out if not November, then definitely January. But I got a lot of music. I just did a song with Havoc. I've been on tour with like who did I go on? Razkaz, Elder Sensei, Rusty Jokes, my man Sadat X. So I mean, I work as much as I can as far as the music, and I just like just the progression. I mean, I would like to be like super, out of this world blown, but to me, that's gonna happen regardless. I just like putting in the work and seeing it grow. I remember when I first started collecting royalty checks and they're like from Spotify, they'll be like $50, $100, and I'm excited.
Mm.
You know what I mean? When it got to be like 135 and I had to pay the rent for the week, I was mad happy to give that check to Daquan's mom. Like, here you go. You know what I'm saying? So watch that grow. Now it's like 13, 1500 every couple of months. So I like just doing that. You know what I'm saying? Seeing what works, and then trying this. You know what I'm saying? But as far as the,
Yeah.
the
Dope.
project, the project is a very I like this album. You know what I'm saying? I like all my albums, but I like this album a lot because both that like he's really into New York, and I live a real interesting life in New York, so it's nothing. One time I was in a live, like I was watching the Snow Goons on one of their IG live, and they had someone in there like, "Yo, show them the real New York." And my man, and he my man, son, he all in the Long Island backyard, like, yeah, look, showing the foreigners all the grass in Long Island. Meanwhile, I'm on the live on 224 in White Plains Road, waiting for my taxis with 100 police and weed dealers,
He
Jamaicans,
said, waiting
waiting
for
to
my
call me
chopped
once.
cheese.
I wanted to be like, y'all want to see New York? And then that's when I said, you know what? I got you right now. That's what I'm really like. That's what I really got. I'm doing with this album. So we got a mini documentary where one we talk about the making of the album. I have both that talking about the beats and how he met me. I got like studio sessions and when I'm in the lab recording it, but I also got like just wild footage of me, you know what I mean, running around. Like this is when I was in the Bronx. I moved from the Bronx back to Jamaica, Queens, in June. So I got some in the Bronx where you just see crazy people, like, and I'm out all hours of the day and night. So I can't wait for them to see that. They gonna be like, wow. I got the weird strip on South Road in something at like 2 in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
Got
Oh
all
my
that, yeah.
goodness.
So I can't wait for them to see that, yo. I'm real excited to see how
Dope.
they respond. But yeah, that's the
Dope.
album. Definitely October 2nd. It's Just P 100 on Instagram. You Google Just P, I come up a million different ways, and just
You sure do.
look
That's how
into
I found the songs I got with you.
right. Just look into me and hit me up and tell me I don't like it, I like it, you did this, you did that, because all of it. I mean, I used to be like, I don't care, I'll just put it out and whatever, because I got to go to work the next day, and I still feel that, but now I see myself having to kind of pay attention because people do really be listening and listening to me, and it's just me playing in my room watching TV, smoking weed and listening to beats. You know what I'm saying? So I really like seeing how people respond to my crazy visions from my living room. You know what I mean? But yeah,
Right.
definitely just check it and tune in with me and let me know how you feel.
Word.
Yeah. It's
All
just,
right. So, yeah.
what's the Instagram?
Oh, JUSP 100.
All right, all right. I just I just followed you.
Oh yeah, I need to follow you too, young sir. Pluto, why did we call you Pluto 7? Are you like another world? You're like from another. You're the god of another planet, like Vegeta or something.
No,
Like, what
it,
are you
the whole thing was, like, when it wasn't cool to talk about, the possibility of aliens and all that stuff. I was always, as a kid, I was always in the aliens. I believed in Bigfoot. I believed in a lot of stuff in the whole nine. So Pluto 7, was just, like the furthest thing away from Earth. And it
nice?
was like, my whole thing was like, like I believe in learning knowledge the furthest thing, like
Mm,
knowledge from a far place. So I equate, from Pluto to Earth, all of that space of information. You know what I mean? It's about, like always learning and information and everything. So
and
I've always been a person, not just hip hop stuff. I was always into reading and researching and speaking, and learning about a whole bunch of stuff. So it's just a representation of just not just the stuff on the planet, but we there's narratives outside this planet that a lot of people are not really aware of or don't want to recognize. So
Right.
you
And
have
know
and the seven comes from the supreme alphabet.
Yeah, and in good energy and all of that stuff. So,
Okay.
I'm
All
definitely
right. Cool.
I
Dope.
definitely believe it. And then, that information and then, acquiring, that information at one point in time, I was, slowly moving towards that, and
Right.
that
Right.
information. And then, just I don't know, hip hop, man. It just
yeah, that's a dope hip
whenever I
hop
try to
name.
go over here or wherever, even when I tried to stop doing it, it would always just call me, man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
ended up
Nah.
being
It's just,
a high level of hip hop narrative and information,
right.
man. And
Right.
yeah,
How do
it's
you
Nah.
feel
bad.
Hip
about
hop is
space
dope,
now?
man. Hip hop is dope. It ain't bad. It's dope.
No,
We
it's
just
very
gotta
good.
take it back. We just gotta take
Yeah.
it back. That's all.
Well,
Real
so
quick,
these are the vehicles and the narratives to do that. So this is what we're
Right.
doing with these vehicle and
Right.
like,
narratives, because
Absolutely.
that's the new
Absolutely.
form of education. Because a lot of people may not necessarily do books. So what we're doing is we're going to inspire people to start going back to books by putting
Right.
out this stuff.
Right.
So this is the
Dope.
catalyst. Yeah,
Word.
man.
I got two more questions for you, and then we can wrap up. Do, do, do,
Absolutely.
do you do you feel vindicated now that they're damn near about to unveil aliens like next year or something? Because it's definitely aliens
You
now.
you know
So do you feel like you go
you,
back
you,
and be like, you know what?
you know what?
Because
I'll just
this
say this.
they up
I'll just
now.
say this. People can say what they want, but I see them with my own eyes.
I believe, because they
I've
up.
seen them with my own. I've had experience with my own eyes. So this is something as a kid that I believed. As a kid, I had visions. I had visions of things. I've astral projected.
Mm,
So this is I've seen glitches. Like last summer, I seen two glitches. I seen two, like there's a bridge by the train station. When I walk down the street, go to the train station, and one guy was on a bike. I seen him go, no lie. I seen him go under the bridge. He disappeared. And then another time, I was on the other side of the bridge, and I was about to walk under it, and something just told me, "Pay attention to homeboy." So he was on the other side. I'm on the left side. He's on the right side, and the street is going down, and the bridge, the tracks is above us. And it was like, "Pay attention to homeboy over there." Something just told me, "Pay attention." And as I walked, I didn't see him go on the other side. Like when he
Crazy.
went under the bridge, I didn't see him show up. So there's a lot of stuff. I tell people I'm not trying to make anybody anything that I say, whether it's this history or not, into a believer, because people are going to believe it whether they look into it, or because they see there's receipts and there's a consistency, or they're going to not believe it because they don't want to believe it because of an agenda. I'm not trying to make anybody into a believer or whatever, whatnot. But I tell people I can prove what I say.
I don't
I can
think they're
prove
gonna
it.
like.
But
Like
yeah, I believe in them. Yeah, absolutely.
I believe the whole time because I'm open like that, but like now it be on like regular news. Like there's like now they got names for these type of things now, you know? Like the
Right.
regular news and it's a lot it's and I think when they unveil that or reveal that, it's gonna change the world. Like if a spaceship just landed over our planet, that's gonna change people's everyday life and then we're just gonna have to live around that. That'll change. Like the government will change. Though, like
There's going to be some things that some people see and some people don't because of the way their vibrations are. They're
yeah,
going to see. You, they're, it's already happening.
right,
There's
right.
already happening. There's some people that see stuff. There's going to be stuff literally. Like you're going to be standing right next to somebody, and you might see something that the person right next to you won't see
That's
because
good.
of clairvoyance, third eye, or whatever you want to call it, or
But what if they came
spiritual
to like
development.
Mayor Adams? Like what if they really were like just popped up and then like next thing you know, Adams or Kamala is the president and be like, yo, there's aliens. Like the world went crazy with COVID. That was all the news was just COVID. I imagine aliens. Like that'll
When they show up, I'm not going to be surprised, man.
I'm not gonna be surprised, but I'm like, yo, so am I going to work? Like, are we gonna have the same jobs?
He said, "Am I
That,
going to work?"
that's
Yeah,
gonna change
I see what
your
you say.
life if you just go
That
I don't
outside.
have a choice.
Nah,
that
I
that
don't think
that
you
that could
you're
change
not
certain
going to
things.
work.
I have a friend that
I
works
think
for
I might
NASA,
go to work.
and there's interesting things that that have been said.
You're not go like so if you go outside and there's a spaceship just parked out there after you see it on Channel 2 News in the morning, there's no job. You got to figure that out, and society gonna start all
I'm
over.
just saying, if they show up, if they pull up and they cool, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna go back with you.
The government gonna use whatever.
I'm done with this place. I'm ready
And
to
then
go.
and then everybody gonna be black because we all gonna be poor and we all gonna be for everybody gonna be black then. All the poor people gonna be black then. It won't even matter because we out here. We gonna be the first. Like it's over. Like that's
Yo.
like it's so funny.
Hmm.
But can you imagine if like they just parked outside and you turn on your TV and Mayor Adams is like, there's an alien and this is what we're gonna do. The alien plans. The alien integration plan. There's gonna be a consequence. We're not going to work. It's like
He said
man,
the alien
government.
integration plan.
Don't
Oh,
don't
he's
bring
all for it. He's
don't
all
bring
for it.
Who's to say it didn't happen already though?
that is true.
Alien integration plan. Who's to say it didn't happen? All these movies that we have, and you mean to tell me us on this lonely planet came up with all those ideas? One man came up with all those ideas for Star Wars with no influence.
Right,
Think
right,
about it. You think
Yeah.
George
right.
Lucas has that much creativity?
Or Stephen King or
Yeah,
Mhm.
Spielberg.
yeah. All this stuff has to come from somewhere.
I hear there's something in the middle of the earth or something, and there's like four different theories on what that could be. One was like aliens, or they got weird names like interdimensional this, but I'm like, it could be a demon. Let me go to church, and then I don't go to church. But I'd be scared of things like that, because man, I
Bro,
want to be
I'm
alive for that, but I don't really want to
let,
be alive for
I'll
that.
tell you something. I'll tell you something real quick, crazy. I have a shadow demon that's been following me since I was 5 years old. He's probably in the room right now.
Really?
I always punk him. I always punk him. The last time I seen him was like 4 summers ago. I was on the couch and I was asleep, and he showed up in my dream. And I looked at him. I was like, "Take the first swing. I'll give you
How
the
do you
first
do
swing."
that?
And then I woke up because I was sleeping on the couch. He was standing over me, and I looked at him and I laughed. And I was like, "I hope you don't think I'm scared in this world either." Because I knew his energy. His energy feeds off of fear. If I gave him that fear, then he would come more often. But since he makes a big bet on trying to scare me, he's got to go back and re-up and charge up before he can show up. So he's been showing up off and on all my life. And he don't ever get
That, that,
anything that he wants when he shows up.
that's funny you say that because I remember being a kid and I would have like these weird dreams
Right, right.
of like something like suppressing me and holding me down, and then I'd wake up, or I thought I would wake up, and I wouldn't see anything, but I would feel this pressure like holding me
Yeah,
down. I couldn't
yeah,
speak
I've had
or
that too.
anything, and it hasn't
Yeah.
happened in so long. But when I was a kid, it happened a lot. You know what I'm saying? So like
Mhm.
it's possible, man. I don't know.
And
I know,
and I'm not a
and
I'm not a religious person, but from a lot of religions, they say only fear the God or whatever, whatnot, or if you
right,
have faith, you shouldn't be afraid of anything or whatever, whatnot.
right.
I don't, I don't subscribe to any one like organized belief or whatever, whatnot. But I
Right.
also have like no fear of that because
Right.
I've seen, I've been seeing a shadow demon since I was 5 years old, and he never could scare me because my energy doesn't resonate like that.
Right.
My energy, doesn't like, fear is something you either control or you slowly get rid of it.
I'm scared.
And,
Right.
and when you
He
move
said
it,
I'm scared.
you know, you'd
Well,
be
I mean,
surprised.
we
Remember,
believe
they
in
need your
Jinn,
energy more
so
than you need their energy.
Right, right. That is
You
true.
know,
yeah, don't
you'd
give
be
him no energy, P.
yeah,
I do
nope.
know, I won't say his name, but I do know like their family does voodoo, and certain things would scare me hard body, but at
He
the
said I
same
won't say his name.
yeah, because I mean I don't because mine because the thing is like you could hear them if like they're comfortable with you, they'll talk about it, and the moment I ask a question, the moms will just look up and say something in Haitian, and that's it. You know what I mean? So I don't like
Yeah,
I
what
yeah,
Halloween is coming up. Don't leave the house because people think
yeah, I
Halloween.
don't.
No, there's Hallows Eve. Oh, there's
yeah,
so
yeah.
the whole symbolism of people don't even understand the symbolism of why a pumpkin. Back in the old times, in Europe, they put the Druids will put a pumpkin at the doorstep so they
Mm,
know that the demons will show up to them because trick or treat. And if you didn't give them a treat, you would get a trick. So the mark for the demons to come, they put a pumpkin by there. So when people put a pumpkin in their window in their house, you saying like come through. People don't even understand what they practice.
that's
Right. Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
wild
Because
to
it
me.
got turned into a marketing thing.
Yo, what? One time I
Yo,
was telling someone how scared I am living in there, and I'm walking. As soon as I said the name, as soon as I said the word voodoo, I looked, the black cat on the street just screamed at me like, I said, I ain't talking about this no more. All right? Since
You know
moms,
what? I found
since,
something out about black cats. They say black cats are actually good. They say black cats are the ones that protect you from spirits.
then I don't want no parts of none of
See,
that.
see,
well,
a lot of things are in reverse. Like 666 is used in reverse. There's
Right,
so
that's
many
true.
things that they say that don't mess with that. Was actually the stuff that's actually supposed to
what's
protect.
wild? What's wild in Islam? An all black dog can easily be possessed by a jinn. An all
Mm,
black dog, not a dog with spots, like an all black dog. And it's funny because, like my job, I deal with dogs constantly, and all black dogs always bark at me.
Right.
Always. Or I mean, every dog barks at me, but
mm,
like the all black dogs, like it's different. They have like this kind of growl, a
mm.
Um,
different kind of growl when
or,
I walk
or,
by. You know what I'm
But,
saying?
but
And I stay far away.
they say they say dogs the dogs can see spirits.
mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
say
That
dogs.
too. Yeah,
They
I
say
heard that too.
cats too. But cats. They have like a different purpose. But when they say when a dog is just barking at something out of nowhere or barking at a corner, it's because it sees something that
Right,
we don't see.
right.
One time the
I
That's
mean,
roaches,
crazy.
so they used to bake a cake to feed the spirits. Whole house flooded with roaches. Cake was there 10 years. Now one the cake, not one roach would touch that cake. 10 years. That cake was there 10 years. No roaches ever touched
Yeah,
the
I've
cake.
seen that. I've
That's
seen that. I've seen
insane.
that. I've seen that.
The whole
I've seen that.
house
I ain't gonna
was not
say,
touching that
yeah,
cake.
I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it. I've
I
seen
seen
that
that,
exact same thing.
they say that lady had to climb a mountain and go down to get the voodoo water. And she one bad hip at a time to climb the stairs. I seen that lady pick people up and throw people. The dude's mom,
Nah.
son. Think I'm playing. I seen her pick someone up and throw the nigga in the dumpster, son. There's mad things. I was like, yo, but
yeah,
I'm a
Yo,
there's a lot, and you know what?
yeah.
Here's another thing. A lot like me being a person that's always inquisitive about stuff. I have this belief system that nothing in this world cannot be explained. Everything can be
Voodoo.
explained. There's no if it exists, there's an explanation.
Voodoo.
sometimes I don't want to
A
know the
lie is based
explanation
off a
though.
half truth. A lie is
Exactly.
Right.
based off a half truth.
Yeah.
You can't, I can't say, what, I'm gonna just like come through the screen and just like be where you're at. You know what I
Right.
mean? That sounds
Right.
too crazy. But if you package something and you have like doubt, like doubt where you have somebody wrestle between is it true or not, that's how that's how they control people, telling half truths. Because if you tell a flat out lie, they're gonna see through that. But you tell a half truth, you have people wrestling around what is true, what part of it is, and what isn't, or whatever, whatnot. So everything can be explained. Why there are aliens, or why you see spirits,
Right.
or why dogs bark, or whatever. Like questions that most people may not ask or wonder, but everything can be explained in this universe. If it exists, it can be explained.
I'm looking at you, Watt. Right?
What's
What
up?
if I'm looking at you, see, he got the right answer. One, there's a game where I forgot the game is called, but they say few people know all the secret and they only tell half of it to the larger group. And those people always win. Those few people that know more than the mass are always like they survive the game. That's crazy. And here's a question, why did their voodoo elder come from Haiti and shut down all the lottery on the block? He shut down all them stores, winning lot. How he win all
I
the lotto in
don't.
all the stores? Why? Huh?
I don't
I
know.
want no
I
parts of that. I say,
I
so
don't
they
know,
say he
bro.
three different
And he won
spots.
the
Come back. Three different
and he won
spots.
the money.
Huh?
And he won the money.
He won the money in all three different spots.
Wow.
How? Son, the dude I'm
Wow.
not mentioning, our friend Watt, I seen that dude jump on a car and ride the car down the Ave like a movie. And he'd be like, yeah, the spirits protect me. What? He
Yeah.
punching dude in the car like a movie. Jumped on the sign, started punching dude, and God was like, yeah, the
He,
spirits be protecting me.
he
I'm
revealed
good.
himself to you. He revealed his true self to you.
Good. So
Wow.
he gave
I'm
me some
staying
lessons.
away.
I took it, but I
Nah,
never
I
used
don't want it. I don't want it. I
it. And
don't
then they
want
took
it.
it back because I never used it. You know what I'm saying?
You think that you think
No,
you
I'm not
think you
fucking
think
around.
he's protected by the jinns, or
Who, me?
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah.
Yeah.
mean, yeah. If you, but it's a price to pay for that though.
Right.
Of
They had
course.
It's a
they had
price
to
to pay
go
for
home
that
with
though.
Of course.
spirit. They had to go back to feed the spirit. And then one of the
I'm
symbols of
good. I
the spirit,
don't want none of it. Cause you know
I,
what's
I,
crazy? I remember sitting in a lecture before, and this imam, like he specialized in removing jinn. Like I saw an exorcism before, so I know this stuff is not far fetched. I saw it because I worked at the master before. I'm not gonna say where I worked, but I worked at a master, and a brother had a jinn, right? And the jinn was refusing to leave.
Hmm.
Now, mind you, this individual, he was from another country, but not an Arab speaking country and not an Arabic speaking country. He knew
Hmm.
fluent Arabic because of the jinn. Knew fluent Arabic because of the
That's
jinn,
it. You
right?
ain't got to go no further.
Right.
You ain't got to go
So,
any further.
but the thing is, like, depending on how strong the jinn is, you
Hmm.
would have to burn the jinn. It's like a series. Like he got to come back. Like he has
Yeah.
to come back multiple times. And like I had to do security at like that was my job being security. So I was on the outside of the exorcism, but I actually saw the video. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And the jinns will like when you be having say if you have like I don't mean to get vulgar, but if you have a sexual dream,
Hmm.
that possibly could be you having sex with a jinn in your dream. You think it's
I've
a
heard that
woman,
before.
but it
Yeah.
can possibly be a
Yep.
jinn, and then the
Most,
jinn becomes
most
attached to
definitely.
you. The jinn
Yeah.
becomes attached to you, and they'll fall in love with you and everything. And
Yep.
I've seen that. So for the listeners, like this stuff is real. That the stuff that we're speaking, this stuff is real. It's really
I,
not a joke. I don't
I've
even take it. I like
yeah.
I don't want no parts of it. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest with you. I don't want no parts of it. So like all the
I'm
stuff I learned in Islam, like where the jinns like they lay like in filth. You know what I'm saying? Like the swamps and like the lower parts of the earth. Like if you go like like mosquitoes fester in like still water. You know what I'm saying? Like they lay eggs in their still water. That's why they're mostly in swamps and all of that stuff. Same thing with the jinn. This is where they congregate. You know what I'm saying? This is where like you can accidentally get one attached to you. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, we getting a little bit too
Yeah,
crazy. So
Pluto, when we can have you back,
yo,
you back.
yo, this huh?
I said Pluto, when we can have you back, we'll definitely have you back. I appreciate your
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. Yo,
Absolutely.
we definitely gonna continue this.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Pluto.
this concludes our episode. Huh?
Oh no, go ahead. Close it out, close
All
it
right,
out.
this concludes our episode of
Hey,
Spears and Mics. Make
Pluto,
sure you like, subscribe, comment, you know what I'm saying, share, all of that. All right, peace.
Pluto, don't
Peace.
hang up. We gotta upload.